Today we'll be Hello, thank you for joining me for this FileHold quick tip video about the Managed Imports tool. Today we'll be looking at how to bring documents over from a third-party software. If you haven't had a chance to, please check out our video on SmartSoft Capture and Capture Plus to take a look at some basic invoice processing. That's our first step in bringing a document over. Once we've done the export from there, we're going to pick up with the Managed Import tool. To begin, we'll need to use the FileHold desktop application, or FDA. You can see I'm logged in here under my own name, and I'm an administrator within FileHold, so I have access to be able to build managed imports. If I wasn't an administrator, I would have to log in and only be able to use a managed import, but I couldn't configure it. So if you're not an administrator, please make sure that you have those rights or you're getting someone else who can do that for you with the software. Now I'm going to go over to my tools, and I'm going to select my Manage Imports option from here. This is going to then take me into the Managed Import screen, where I can then come up to Add to put in a new managed import into the software. Having selected this, this window will pop up. Now something you might see, I'm just going to cancel this. I'm going to go up to my user settings up here, User Preferences, and under Advanced, you're going to see that I have Format of Document Imports and Capture. This is what's actually setting me for what mode I want my managed imports to be. We have a legacy software called QuickScan Pro, so if this is set to both, then when you hit OK, when I hit Add, it's going to ask me what kind of import I want. Make sure you set this to Capture because that's the mode of the XML document that we're going to be bringing over from SmartSoft Capture. Now we're ready to build our import. By hitting OK, it takes me into this tab. Now, I'm going to ignore the database lookup for the purposes of this exercise. We're just going to stick with the basics of reading the information that's off the form. To start off with, we'll need to give it a name. So I'm going to call this AP Invoices, and then we can give it a description if we want to. For incoming invoices. Now, we need to locate where these documents are going to be coming from. Where's SmartSoft Capture exporting those documents to? I can browse to find that location. The default is usually C scans, so I'm going to start there. I'll navigate to my C drive, locate my scans folder, select, and OK. I'm now set up to retrieve the XML field from SmartSoft Capture. Once I've located the XML file that I want to bring over, you can take a look here, and it shows me what template I'm using here, which is my invoice template. That's built into the XML file. This is in a particular format, so it's important that this document not be altered in any way so that the information that's contained within it is properly mapped over to FileHold. Once I say OK, FileHold lets me know if there's any errors, and in this case it was retrieved successfully, like I would expect it would be. Now I can say OK, and I'm ready to move to the next tab. Before I do, I want to point out that there are some job automation settings here. I'm going to come back to this, but this is how I would turn on these imports to make sure that they happen automatically, so I don't have to actually tell the managed import to go out and look for it. But sometimes when you're doing testing, it might make sense to set this to manual so you can control that. Right now I'm going to leave this unchecked. We're now going to go up to our Field Mapping tab. Selecting, this will then allow me to choose which schema I'm going to map this document to. And I'm going to choose my AP invoices from SmartSoft Capture. The metadata fields load over here, so these are my different metadata values that I have available for this document. Over here, on the other hand, these are the sources. This is the XML file that's been exported by Capture. Now I can map them from one to the other. So for the invoice number, I want to choose my invoice number field. For my invoice date, I'll choose invoice date, vendor, vendor name, total, total. But you'll see there's three more fields down here, notes, PO number, and whether or not I entered that document into QuickBooks. Those are going to be empty because I haven't pulled any information off of SmartSoft for that. That's no problem. You don't need to necessarily map every field. You could have more destination metadata fields or even more captured information than you're going to be reading within the software. Now we can go over to the Auto Filing tab, and over here I can choose where these documents are going to end up once I do my export from Capture. I could put these documents over in my inbox if I wanted to by turning Auto Filing off. This will ensure that the documents automatically go to the inbox when they're ready for processing. I could also choose a single location if I wanted to. So for example, these are invoices, and maybe by my process I might want to move these to an incoming invoices folder. I could select this, and now that rule will come into place. So anytime I run one of these invoice exports from Capture, it's going to be taken in by the managed import and dropped into that folder automatically. I don't need to do any work on that. I can also ask it to automatically send the files to an auto-filing location. Now, if you don't know about auto-filing, it's a way of being able to push a document into the right location based on the document's metadata. Because of this, I could use the auto-filing location defined in a document schema, or a particular filing system that I'm using in the rules down below. Now, if you're using auto-filing, you can turn them on for schemas or apply them simply to one document type or the other. So if I wanted to, I could say, I'm going to use a SmartSoft import invoices auto-filing template that I've built, and I'm going to have that apply. But in this case, I'm just going to turn the auto-filing off. That also means that I can't automate the job because a document in the inbox is not ready to send to the library. Once I've completed all the fields I want, I can say OK. I've now got the managed import built, and you can see my list of document imports. I can select this and ask this to start. The reason I have to say start is because I need to tell this to go out and fetch it. I haven't turned on that automation yet. So if I hit start, it runs and it tells me that one batch is complete. I can now go back over to my inbox and verify that there's a document waiting for me over here. When I select the document and open up the metadata panel for it, I can see all the different fields of information pulled from Capture. So this document has been properly processed. I can now choose where this is going to live, and I can simply drag and drop and place that there. Once I've completed that, I can send all my documents into the library. Now I can look at my folder and see if the document has been properly imported, and it has. It's also been given its new name based on its naming convention rights. That's part of its document schema. And there'll be a video for that as well if you want to learn how to turn on your auto naming conventions. Again, I can select the document and ensure that not only the metadata, but the version properties are all filled out here. Now let's add a little automation to the mix here. Let's go back up to our managed imports, select the manage import, and then while we're here, we're going to turn on this job automation settings to watch for new files to be imported and automatically tag and bring them into the inbox. So we select there, and then let's go over to the auto filing, and we're going to turn our auto filing to a single folder on. We're going to browse to that to choose our incoming invoices location. And finally, we're going to ask this to automatically send files in the library with the status of the inbox ready to send. We're now going to apply that and say OK. Let's just confirm that our settings there are correct. Yes and yes. Good. Now we can go over to SmartSoft Capture. We're going to choose this one here, which is another invoice that we can scan through. Again, it loads the invoice. It's going to process it, look for any of the data fields on it. When it's found them, it's going to give them that yellow text box around it, and then it's going to populate some of our fields of information. We can see here that the only one it had question on was the total, which looks correct to me. We can see the zoom view of it down here. We have successfully mapped this document, so let's export it. The document closes, so I know it's been done, and now I can go back over to FileHold and stand in my incoming invoices folder. And there's the document having arrived. We can see that it's automatically renamed, automatically tagged with all the metadata, and when I open up the field here, we can see all of the fields that we just validated a moment ago. So this document has now been successfully added with minimal intervention on my end. I did all of my work inside of SmartSoft and then just hit that export button to bring it over here. Thank you so much for joining me today to learn a little bit about managed imports. Hope you found it useful. If you have any other questions, please visit us at our website, www.filehold.com, and let us know. And if you have any questions about FileHold in your organization, give us a shout at sales@filehold.com. Thank you again and have yourselves a great day.